Okay, we're connected. What's going on? What's going on? I have no idea if you guys can hear or see me because I can't see you. Come on. Well, it is not working. Why isn't it not working? Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. I'm having system issues. I don't know what's going on here. Can you guys hear me? Oh, you can hear and see me. Now if only we can get Facebook to get going. It decided it didn't want to work today. I don't know why. Let's see. All right, I don't know. And is it lagging? Can you guys see if it's lagging? Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. This thing is glitching out on me today. And I had some good stuff I wanted to share. Ugh. Like Facebook is not working at all, and I can't even tell if they can see. Let's see. What is going on? Connected. Well, I mean, it's saying I'm connected, so we're just going to kick it off. Okay, so I have a couple of stories to share today. One, I wanted to finish up Jared's story that we shared last Sunday, but there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about and a couple of rumors that are flying around like crazy right now, and I thought I would bring it up because it's pretty big. And it's not, this is a rumor that I've heard from multiple people, and I'm like, okay, is it just gossip, or is everybody going crazy, or is there some validity to it? Because I don't know. I'm just gonna get into it, and then you guys ponder it and tell me what you think. So, with the whole UFO stuff going on, we're all aware, all the different sightings worldwide now, people are seeing it. Recently, I know that our Pentagon, or was it the Navy, came out and said that there's no verifiable proof that the orbs that the drones that have been seen are not UFOs and nothing for us to worry about. Whatever, BS. Well, this is the new rumor that's kind of trending right now. And it's that the Galactic Federation is actually here. And they have actually sped up their timeline of disclosure, meaning aliens revealing themselves to us, whether we like it or not. That was supposed to happen beginning in the year of 2027 and beyond. But because of our current events deteriorating rapidly around us, not just the US, but all over the planet. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's civil unrest in a lot of different countries, not just here. There's Germany, I don't want to say just name off countries, but I know Germany, they're protesting a lot right now. And it's just a lot of civil unrest, people basically not complying. That's the motto is resist and not comply. But it's like worldwide, it's different countries trying to stop dictators. So anywho, tying back to the UFO disclosure and everything going on, supposedly they sped up the timeline for the big reveal because we're coming undone at the seams, is the rumor. And it was a 3-step process. This is why, and it's crazy about this rumor is it's really detailed. And it goes into the 3-step process on the reveal. And I'm like, wait, this is more than just a rumor. This is like a whole plan. And where did it start? Like who first started? So I'm trying to track down who's the origin, who first started this rumor. But the first wave was the orbs in the sky, which we started seeing last November unto now. The second are the cloaked motherships that are strategically placed all around the world, all around cities around the world. And you'll see them as cloaked clouds. You'll see them as just different huge ships, which is interesting because that admiral, as I remember, if you guys were on here, said last week, they saw a football field size orb underwater, like in the ocean, moving extremely fast. And this comes from an admiral in the Navy. So I'm like, wait, it's not a coincidence. And then the final third, which is going to lead to the disclosure after, sometime soon, is this egg UFO that was discovered. And it's more than what we're being told. This is going to sound crazy, guys. That's why it's a rumor. So don't kill me. I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just telling you what's trending right now. And that there's an alien inside, a man inside this egg, and he's going to come out. And that's going to be the reveal. That egg UFO kind of threw me off in the beginning because I never believed it was a UFO. I'm like, that literally is an egg. But I was thinking like dragon. I don't know. So that's the heavy rumor that's literally trending that people are pushing right now. And I don't know where it started from and who started it or why. So it's just weird that some things can tie into it, especially what we're seeing. So I don't know. You guys got to tell me about that. You're going to have to tell me what you think because let's see. I like your videos. Thank you. UFOs and aliens been helping us, Martin. I think so too. I think in not just the civil unrest, but I think that our planet's deteriorating a lot faster than it should be, and we're such a young planet, and that's more scarier than what's going on honestly right now and all around us, because we're fighting, yes, amongst ourselves, but if we don't have a planet to live on, we're all going to go extinct. So I don't know. It's just, it's not a coincidence that all of this is coming out now. And it's just irritating that governments are still trying to keep it silenced and covered up. Like we're dumb. Like we're not, like what we're seeing in the skies, they're not real and we're just hallucinating. That's such a slap in the face. And speaking of odd UFO sightings, I thought this one was interesting because not knocking, if anybody's on here from Fresno, I'm not knocking you guys, but I used to live in that area, Salinas. So I know all about that area, but it's odd that it's happening in Fresno. I'm just going to tell you the article. So it's a mysterious UFO sightings puzzle California residents and authorities. Multiple UFO sightings have been recorded over several days across California, particularly in the Fresno area. So what's crazy about this one is it started as a string of lights hovering over downtown Fresno in the early hours. They said about 4 a.m. And the local news station actually captured the light on camera. MUFON actually got involved with this one and classified it as an unidentified flying object, a UFO. But a lot of people have been posting about it because they're literal orbs that they were seeing, and really low, like really low over downtown, to where it was visible to a lot of different people. So I thought that was really interesting, that they were just literally hovering over downtown Fresno over the course of several days. I don't know. Hatching man, tee. I know, it literally is a hatching man. From other, I honestly believe, oh, why is it doing that? That I've seen visitors from other places, from Jennifer. I do too. I've been seeing weird stuff around here. And we have, I'm in Arizona, but we have Luke Air Force Base, and a lot of our jets and helicopters have been out like crazy lately. My son has like the FAA tracker, and he's always tracking them. He's just like, there's just a lot of activity, and we have no idea why. He was Jennifer Fox. I worked as a bouncer on Fremont East Street in Las Vegas, Nevada. We were paid to watch people. There was a strange man that would walk around like he was seeing everything for the first time. He probably was. He probably was. I mean, I would not doubt that one little bit. Okay. So really quick, we're going to talk about Bigfoot, but we're also going to finish up Jared's story, because we talked about his story last week and the different UFOs that he was dealing with in Oregon and, in Washington. And I had sidebarred him, and we were messaging, and I'm just like, this is odd, because this is literally a really close encounter. Normally when somebody sees UFOs, it's high in the sky, and it's, believe it or not, it's kind of rare to see something really up close. Typically the ones we see are like the orbs, the drones. It's not really close, like it's not literally right there. And so I was talking to him a little bit about it, and he told me a little bit about the rest of his story, and it kind of just started clicking. He's literally the perfect case of a close encounter, an abductee. And I know we have a lot of abductees actually coming out and now talking about their story. They feel kind of not so suppressed. They don't feel like they have to keep it in anymore, and they can actually tell people what's happened to them. So I'm going to read his story, and this is what he sent me. The origin of my interest into extraterrestrials was when I was 12. I was sleeping in my room in the basement, and I had what you described as a loss of time. I felt like I fell asleep and then woke up in an extreme panic, not knowing what was going on or what I was dreaming about. I remember sitting there on my bed trying to calm down and trying to remember what I was dreaming about. It was very foggy, but I just remembered an intense bright light and what looked like an owl face, or at least that's how I interpreted it at the time. I just remember these large eyes and intense bright light. I then remembered having a painful poking sensation in my neck in the dream. I instantly reached up, and I had a lump right where I had felt the pain during the dream. I showed my mom the bump, and there was just one dot right in the center of it, but she brushed it off as a spider bite. I didn't bring up my dream because I thought I was imagining things. Then years down the road in 2009, I still had the bump on my neck, and it's actually still there today. And this movie, The Fourth Kind, came out about alien abductions in Nome, Alaska that happened in the past. I went to the movie theater to watch it when it came out. And if you haven't seen the movie, there's a common theme of all the abductees of describing a white owl with huge black eyes. They showed what they were describing in the movie, and I had a full-on panic attack out of nowhere. I do not scare easy. I was into Stephen King movies and really scary things when I was younger, so I have never experienced a reaction like that in my life, let alone while watching a movie. I legit thought I was going to pass out. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I felt like I couldn't move sitting there in the movie theater. That was when I started to put things together and realized that I had a common experience as those people in Nome, Alaska, and it really did happen. I have wanted to have my neck operated on for years, to have what I believe is some sort of tracking device on my neck. That would make sense as to why they acknowledge my presence. I've also had experiences commuting to Seattle for work and having what appears to be stars following me. I don't know if you guys seen that movie. It's Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. You really, if you haven't, you have to watch it. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. I think you'll have to rent it or even buy it, but it's worth it. It really is. It's based off it's a true story of what happened to those people and that family and the doctor. And her daughter to this day is still missing. What I really liked about that movie is they showed actual security clips from the camera from the police dash cam and different police vehicles of whatever was hovering over that house before the daughter disappeared. You have to watch it. But I'm also going to read this last part. And it's about Jared, and it's about what he does. And it all kind of ties together, whether you want to believe into the conspiracies or not. Let me just read it. My current position is a project engineer. I'm working for a company out at the Hanford nuclear site, doing construction on projects to maintain the 222's analytical lab that is critical for the long-term cleanup of the area. I work right next to one of the old Red Docks plants where they started the initial process of creating the plutonium rods that they have used to create nuclear weapons. It's pretty neat, but I have been seeing some odd things in the sky since I started working out there, and even before all of this stuff with the drones started happening. I know that the phenomenon has controlled our nuclear launch facilities, and I'm pretty well researched on the topic myself. Consuming a lot of podcasts, I've had to do a lot of traveling the last 8 years. I feel like maybe the phenomenon has potentially had more interest in me with my new place of employment. Perhaps if I had been working around something they appear to have an interest in. I think so. The moment when I read the whole nuclear connection, it is tied together. It's crazy, but it sent chills down my back. I just don't believe in coincidences. I don't. It's hard for me to believe in coincidences. I just don't think that there's such thing as a coincidence. The whole eruption of the drones in New Jersey was because of this supposed missing nuclear package. It's just, there's so much more that's being done that we're not aware of. And probably rightfully so. We probably would lose our minds. I don't know. I thought we would lose our minds when we found out that, UFOs and UAPs were real. We didn't. People are just like, oh, it's a normal day. So, but that's the rest of Jared's story that I had to share. And I believe every word he said. And I do think that they are heavily monitoring him and have been for since he was 12. So, and then that was another thing I wanted to mention. So, a lot of people have a trauma, PTSD from stuff like this that they've suppressed for years and years and years and are now seeking therapy or haven't sought therapy and need to. And I'm open. You can send me your stories, and if you want me to share it, I will be happy to share it. You can stay anonymous, or if you don't mind me naming you, I can do that. It's completely up to you. But that's what I really want to do with these live streams, are share your experiences. I do enough of sharing all the videos daily. So really on the live streams, I really just want to share your stories and get them out there and let people decide for themselves, because that is one of my biggest fears with the whole disclosure. It's great. I think it's phenomenal that we have this enormous universe with so many things that we still need to find out and so many things out there. But the part that I don't like feeling is like a victim. I can't stop another being from abducting me out of my house, out of my bed, abducting my children. Like, to me, that's not okay. That's where we need to have safeguards from our government, and not be made to feel like guinea pigs. That's where I have a problem. Whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, I don't care. They don't have the right to just come in and take us into the sky. Hello. We've been lied to from birth. There's a lot of stuff that we've been lied to about. I mean, honestly, a lot of our written history is wrong, but all you have to do is go to the old stories, from Native Americans to indigenous peoples, and all around the world, and you'll figure out the history. I'm one of those people. I don't know if you guys have watched Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix. I highly recommend it. It is one of my favorite documentaries. But basically, the theory is that our Earth is cycled, and it just cycles itself. Civilization on top of civilization. And we're actually a lot older than what we're led to believe. And it's interesting that archaeology finds things to actually kind of confirm that, but then they do away with it. Like the actual screw, like literally a screw was found embedded in, I believe, a limestone that was over 100 million years old. Or the wheel, like a miner's wheel on a wheelbarrow, was found deep in a cave, like a mining cave, that was said to be like 60 million years old, and it was on the ceiling. So I love Ancient Aliens. I gotta take that back. I love the older Ancient Aliens. I think they just got a little too crazy. Like a little, and then he kind of changed too. So it just kind of started going down a path. I'm just like, you're going too far, buddy. So I love the old Ancient Aliens, but Ancient Apocalypse, I really love that. McNally. How about Bigfoot? Yes, we're going to get to Bigfoot, but I really wanted to talk about the UFO stuff before we start the Bigfoot. And there's one, oh no, that was it. I just wanted to talk about the rumor. But yes, Bigfoot. I think it's the season for Bigfoot. And I think, okay, I may be wrong. And it's just a theory. I've been just kind of just with all the reports and researching and looking at the different, sightings, and when they pick up, when they don't pick up, when they kind of go hibernate. I feel like spring, end of January, going into spring, they're migrating back down to over here, like California, into the Ohio Valley, coming out of Canada, out of Alaska, and especially through all the California area. Like, I think they're migrating, and it's like bears coming out of winter, right? And then we start seeing these sightings. We start seeing people, mysterious creatures, sounds. Like today, the one that I posted, I really loved those vocalizations because I heard multiple in that video. But I think it's a migration period for them. I really do. And I have to tell you this story. This one was submitted by Derek. And he's coming out of Eastern Tennessee. He sent me a video, but it's really short and it's really hard to see because his phone, and then before I get into his story, that's what I really want to mention, is his phone was 100% charged. And he's a native, Cherokee, just FYI. But his phone was 100% charged when he grabbed it off the charger and ran outside to try to capture them. And it started recording, but then it died. You know how many times that's reported by paranormal investigators, especially when they're out there trying to track Bigfoot and they have like an encounter and they're trying to actually record, but then their cameras just die. The batteries just die. And they're 100% charged. Their flashlights die. Anything electrical dies. And that's what happened with him. He did capture something. You can see the eyes, but it's just really short and quick. But I wanted to talk about his story. So this is from Derek. And thank you, Derek, for submitting this. Early one morning, I stepped outside to go to work and was greeted as soon as I opened my front door by the most rancid smell. It was strong, pungent, musky, and thick. I thought to myself, something is out here. As I walked down to the path to my car and cleared the side of the house, I immediately felt as if something was watching me. I fumbled around for my phone to use the flashlight feature and hit the camera button by mistake. I just went with what I had pressed, video record with the flash as light. I share with you what I captured. My phone recorded the few seconds you see before going dead, even though I had just unplugged it from the charger. I couldn't make out much detail, but I did see two dark silhouettes standing upright, darker than the night around them. They stood there for a few seconds, staring and blinking at me. And from the sound they made, the one closest to me turned and walked into the forest beside them, followed closely by the other. I can't say that it was definitely a Bigfoot, but I know they were tall and walked upright on two legs. In our Cherokee culture, we have a few names for them: the wild man, the Tsukalu, and it means the secret tribe. As children, we were told if we see them to turn around and walk away. Thank you for your time, and I'll have to give your podcast a listen this week. I thought that was, so there's a couple of key points that I pulled out of there. One was the smell. So typically with Bigfoot encounters, that is the first thing people, hikers, Bigfoot hunters, cryptid hunters, paranormal investigators, it's the first thing that they say is the smell. It smells like a rotted corpse. Some say rotted corpse, some say a wet dog, but it's strong and it lingers and it's heavy and it's not like a bear. It's not like, any other, it's just this strong, ferocious smell. So I thought that was really telling. Let me see. Sorry, I'm going to try to keep up on your guys' comments this time. And then, but this one is actually, this sighting was December 28th, 2024, around 3:30 p.m. And this was in the area near Mansfield, but kind of below it. What county is that? Mulberry Farm State Park. It's kind of south of Mansfield is what it's pointing at. So this is coming from a man named Andrew. And he basically had told the reporter that he spent most of his time outdoors, but he's never seen anything like the creature that he saw on December 28th. It's Washington Township Field is where he was at. And this is what they say. The 35-year-old Mansfield man perched in a 17-foot high tree stand believes he saw a Bigfoot walking purposely and quickly across the open field about 1,000 feet from his position. He said it was taking really long strides. His head was kind of down, moving down the hill, and it had a big head. I lost it when it walked into the tree line. And this is actually the third such local sighting coming out of Ashland County, which is in Ohio. But I thought that was just, and I really like this one because it was recent. It was in December. But I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it's seasons, migration patterns. But again, that's just my fascination with Bigfoot. Not everybody believes that there's a Bigfoot. People think we're still crazy talking about Bigfoot, but there's just so much record and different stuff proving to the fact that these things still exist. Paulo from Brazil. I don't know what you said. I'm so sorry. That's a good question from Fortip. How do you determine which stories shared to you are genuine? I enjoy tuning in to your stories and posts when I had Instagram. I will have to catch up now on YouTube. That's a really good question. So I'm not going to lie. I am inundated with a lot. A lot of videos are sent, emailed, and I'm going to actually share my emails with you guys today. From videos to stories, and it's just key things that I look for in the stories. One, it's how detailed they are with their explanation and the facts that they're including in that explanation. The good thing about from UFOs to Bigfoot to different cryptid sightings is we now kind of have like a research database where different facts have been stored, right, of different encounters, and it all kind of matches from other people who've experienced something, who've had an encounter. And when you're dealing with a Bigfoot, you know, typically people say the smell, the size, what they did, they turned around, you know, it's just different key things that kind of all tie together. They match other witnesses. So that's kind of how, it's almost like being a detective, is comparing other witnesses, what they experienced, and then going with it. And then UFO is the same thing. It's just kind of the detail that's given. I don't share everything, unfortunately. I don't share a lot of the videos as well, because a lot of them, it's really grainy, really bad, and those tend to just tick off people. And I feel bad about that, because I know a lot of people are like, they just want to be heard. And that's my whole goal, is to get your voice out there. But it does have to be a credible accounting of your experience. Because I would hate, there have been times that people have come forward and swore up and down and have been interviewed, and it, you know, a big old case, and then it ends up coming out it was faked. That just, it takes away the credibility of true victims, of true witnesses. And I try to do my best detectiving when doing that. So I don't share everything. But good question. On the Book of Enoch, do more videos. So I really love the Book of Enoch, but I just have to be careful about the whole, when you're pulling in biblical stuff, especially, I try to remove my opinion, because I have a huge, like, I have theories up the wazoo when it comes to Enoch, when it comes to the fallen angels, when it comes to, you know, the Greek, Roman gods, that kind of, and even like the pharaohs and stuff, and it's just all theory and what I think. So I just try to be careful, but I want to do some more on the Enoch and do some more research before I put that together, but that'll be a longer YouTube. I think I won't promise, you know, in the next couple of weeks, but soon I'll put a video together. I really like him. Let's see. Wait, the enclosed system. I don't know what that is. Do you think Bigfoot is the missing link? I've shared this theory before. You guys, or some of you are going to get mad at me, but I do. I'm one of those that fall into that category, but let me explain why. So I don't know if you guys know how far back the sightings of Bigfoot go, the wild man, hairy man. They go back literally to the beginning of time. The first written record of Bigfoot, and I actually did a video on it on YouTube. It's somewhere in my past history. He's called Enkidu. If you believe that the Sumerians were the first civilization on Earth, then you'll know about this. The Epic of Gilgamesh is supposed to be about the first king of Uruk, Gilgamesh. He was this mighty, super godlike king that was just gigantic in nature, and, you know, was this super warrior that was set on quest to destroy things because he was the mightiest. And well, anyways, he was, I don't want to say it wrong. I don't know if Enkidu was put in his path purposely. No, King Gilgamesh was set on Enkidu's path to destroy him, because he was said to have been a wild man that lived with the animals, that grazed with the animals, drank from the water hole. He was just this big, hairy, wild man is what they called him. But he ended up befriending him, and Enkidu became his best friends. And there's actually hieroglyphs and sculptures of both Gilgamesh and this wild man. And there's, in the epic, I believe there's one little recital or one little area that he wrote about Enkidu. So it goes back that far. Now fast forward to my missing link and the US government. Why I think they're the missing link is because every time somebody pulls DNA from hair, from, just exert stuff on the ground. It has human and other unknown creature stuff. It always does. And that's why they always think that it's a tainted sample, because it's pulling human DNA. And that's why we can't lock this thing down with a DNA analysis, because the moment a scientist sees human DNA, they automatically think it was tainted by the scientists or the people who recovered it. I think there are missing link. And if you go back further to the Sumerians, and if you believe into the whole people were created, see, this is because it goes into the whole I'm just going to say it. It doesn't mean I believe it. I'm just going to say what people say about this. If you believe that humans were created by the Anunnaki to mine this earth for gold, that's what we were put here, basically slave, cheap labor. And part of our DNA was pulled from the original inhabitants of our planet, which might have been these Bigfoot or hairy men or whatever you want to call them. And we evolved into the Homo sapien sapien, what we are today. But that's why we have this chain of DNA, that there's parts of it that are still unknown, because they have the ability to be evolved and mutated further to advance us as a being. But that's getting crazy into it. That's like really people going hardcore into it. Doesn't mean it's real. It's just part of the theory that's out there regarding the missing link. If that were to be somewhat true, that would literally unravel humanity. Our belief system, everything would be changed. It would literally destroy everything. So that's why a lot of people are like, you're just crazy. But that's a big one out there regarding Bigfoots. And that's part of the reason why the government, the United States government, keeps it quiet and under wraps. And I have a lot of stories about that. I'm going to share one. Hi, I love the UK. I just shared a really awesome picture about that creature in the Bristol Zoo. It looks like it has wings. And the zookeepers have no idea what that was. It was captured back in October of 2024, last year. And I'm going to talk about it really quick, because like this thing looks like it's a deer with wings. So they had been noticing this weird creature lurking around in the enclosures and stuff. They couldn't capture it. They set up cameras to try to get a video or a picture of it, and they got a picture of it, and it literally looks like a creature with wings. They have no idea, and this is from zookeepers. They have no idea what it was. I thought that was crazy. Anunnaki in the Sumerian text. So the Anunnaki in the Sumerian, that's literally a whole podcast. It's just so hard, because a lot of that stuff is pulled from archaeology. A lot of it is pulled from old texts, but then it's not interpreted correctly. So then people try to put their own interpretation, and that's why I'm really careful with, especially in even things in the Bible too. We got to understand this is interpreted by man. This is interpreted actually first by King James, who was a really bad guy. Honestly, he was a really bad dude. So we just got to be really careful, because the stories are lost. They're so old, but they're out there. It's a really good read. If you can research, just be really careful. But going back to the Bigfoot and my whole thing with the US government, why I think they're the ones that are actually keeping them hushed and covered up and actually doing kind of shady stuff. So I shared this story a long time ago, and it comes from a bunch of log workers. They were up, I don't want to say Michigan. I forgot the area that they were in. They were deep in the mountains, somewhere in the Midwest, and they had to clear out an area that was supposed to be a new area for some sort of, building stuff, logging. Multiple crews had been up there and just quit. That kept quitting. Like they wouldn't stay. And it was because that they were being tormented by unidentified creatures. Rocks were being thrown at them. Their equipment was being demolished and damaged. And it was like for days of this attack by these things. And it was more than one. So these crews kept quitting. Finally, the company went and hired a whole team and paid them a crazy amount of money to go up there and finish the job, to clear it, log it, clear out the whole place so that they could start building. These guys knew what they were kind of heading into. You know, they heard the stories, they just brushed it off. It's nothing. You know, it's just your imagination. It's just regular wolves, bears, blah, blah, blah. So they get up there the first night, they start hearing the howls. You know, the odd rock being thrown here or there. So the second night they start investigating. They actually go out and start investigating the area around them. Well, they came up upon huge nests. And we're talking man-made, huge nests. Huge. Dozens of them. And they said that after they had found that, they started being attacked like rocks. And they would just see these fast, blurred, dark things just moving fast around their camp, hitting them with rocks, damaging stuff. Like it was crazy. He reported it. The foreman reported it. They weren't going to leave. They were going to actually try to stick it out. The moment he reported it and reported those nests, within 24 hours, unidentified federal agencies arrived at that site. And they literally told them they were done. This was now a U.S. Forestry Federal Reserve. Overnight. They claimed it as part of the U.S. protected forestry. They had to leave. That company lost out on millions of dollars. They had to go. And that's not the only time that that's happened. It's been noted. So if in certain parts of California, a lot of it's protected forest, right? It's their sanctuaries for animals, which is, it's great. What's the documentary that kind of hit up on it? Because they were hitting up on the line when they were out there trying to find Bigfoot. Expedition Bigfoot. I forget what season. But they had their own experience of coming up onto these protected lands where they were tracking a Bigfoot that went into those protected lands and they couldn't go in there further. I think our government knows about them. And I've personally seen maps that military people are given on the areas. So if like an apocalypse happens, what you're supposed to do, the areas to avoid. And on one of them, there's a face of a Bigfoot to not engage. I don't know if that map's real or not. It's actually somewhere probably on social media. An old veteran had shared that. I thought that was really interesting. So it's just a lot of cover up. And maybe it's not, they're covering it up because people just can't handle the fact that maybe there is a humanoid other being that lives on this planet with us. And it would just mess with a belief system and the religion and all of that. Because, I mean, imagine. How would you feel knowing that there is an ape man? What does that say about us? So, it's easier to believe the lie than the truth. That is like the truest thing ever. That is literally the truest thing ever. And they hang out at the Indian reservations also. Yes, brujo. Yes, they do a lot. There's stories of our natives that used to interact with them. I'm going to tell you one more story. What is our time? Oh, we have 10 minutes. Dang it. I wanted to share her story. I'm going to share. So this is in Alaska. What was her name? Isabel? Dang it. 1800s. Because this was actually filed in court. It was a police report that was filed. I think it was the 1800s or it was the 1900s. I think it was like 1908. Anyways, it was documented. So it was a young, beautiful native girl. She was in her early, early 20s, I think. And she was set to be married to a brave within the tribe. and excited about it, right? She's out. I don't know if she's out picking berries or whatever, doing something, laundry, something, and she disappears. She disappears like into thin air. They all searched for her, couldn't find her, and she disappeared for 8 months. She was gone. And they basically thought the wild men captured her and killed her, is really what they thought. Because, you know, when they went to the area where she was at, the same smells, you could tell that there was kind of like a scuffle, just different stuff on the ground, and she's gone. So they thought that maybe the wild man had taken her. And there had been reports within the tribe that they had reported to officials, telling them that they were being attacked by these wild men, that they were taking some of their people and they would never see their people again. Women, sometimes men, sometimes they would find the men dead, but a lot of the women they never found. They find her. No, not even find her. She walks back into the village 8 months later, but she's very sick and very pregnant. Within 3 days of being home, she gives birth to a creature, to a hairy creature that actually died. She dies as well, but her story like literally made the newspaper. Basically, she explained that she was kidnapped by a hairy man and that he slung her over his back and carried her off, and that they crossed the river. She actually almost drowned in the river because the currents were so strong, but he was walking through it, swimming through it like nothing, but the currents actually almost whisked her away, so he had to grab her and hold her tight, but he just swam through it like normal. Well, she said walked through it like normal. They went far. They went and fast. Like he was traveling so fast, he carried her on his back and went up into the mountain. And finally, when they got there, they got to a cave. When they entered that cave, there were 2 more of those creatures. One was a female and one was a male that looked older. And they spoke to each other in like this gruttal language, but they spoke to each other. So she started piecing it together. She assumed those were his parents, and you know, he was looking for a mate, and that's why she was taken. She said that she at first was a captive. She was never left alone. There was always one of those creatures there with her. Normally it was usually the woman, the female creature, but that she stayed in the cave, and you know, they would bring her different stuff to feed her, and she eventually started trying to make some sort of connection with them, trying to speak to them, trying to reach them. And this is the course of over 8 months. Her health started declining rapidly. You know, she wasn't, their type of diet wasn't proper for human consumption. A lot of it was all raw. It was like raw vegetables, raw plants, raw meat, you know, no fire, nothing like that. Just, she doesn't even know how she survived that long. In the course of it, you know, you can put it together in your own head, she becomes pregnant. But then as she goes further along in her pregnancy, her health continues to deteriorate and she gets really sick, to the point to where now we're further along in the timeline. So this is like 6-7 months. She now has some sort of form of communication with them. They can kind of understand her and she can kind of understand them. And she said that they literally were a family unit. She never saw any others, just those 3, but she was never allowed out of the cave. She somehow convinced them to bring her back to her people because she knew she would die if she had that baby there, and she was really sick. She got him to bring her back, and then that was the rest is history. Now, what's crazy about this story is it wasn't just a story handed down from elders. This was actually filed within the courts. They wanted it on record. They wanted it investigated. The corpse of the baby was never, nobody was ever told where it was buried. They did not want it dug up. But that was one of the first prolific cases of a verifiable Bigfoot kidnapping. I thought it blew my mind. and I know I talked about it on one of my podcasts, and I really went into it and went through the whole articles. I'll have to pull it up one of these days. But about her mom, it sounds like a movie. It should be made a movie, I think. I think it would be a great movie. You can't handle the truth. I mean, this is from D. Ferguson. I mean, sometimes the truth really is scary. I'll be the first one to admit, especially when you get into deep researching and pulling up things, and you actually start questioning yourself. But then I have to go back to my beliefs and what I believe in, and what I, grew up and what I experienced. And it's not something to just laugh at and make fun of people about, or make them feel like you can't handle the truth, because the truth can be really scary, and it can literally destroy your whole world in seconds. So they do exist. I think so too. But we're at time, so I have to be careful because I don't want this to automatically shut down. So that's going to be it for today, and I wanted to share the emails so that way you guys can send me your stories. Like I said, I want to do at least 1 to 2 stories a live stream. I think I'm going to commit to doing 1 or 2 live streams a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Last Saturday seemed to be pretty good. I like this one. It sucks that I couldn't get Facebook to go live, but I'll figure that out. But send me what you have. If you have a story that you want to share, if you want to be named, let me know. If you don't want to be named, please definitely let me know. I want to get them out there, and not just like, because we hear the really big famous stories, and you have all these big guys that are just like, oh, you have to listen to this, but then it's like us regular people are just being left out. And there's a lot of people out there who've had their own experiences and don't necessarily have the video, but just the experience itself, and that can be a relief to get out. So my email is theparanormalchick@gmail.com, or you can use TPC, T as in Tom, P as in Paul, C as in cat, .videosubmission@gmail.com. The same thing, if you're able to send it on Messenger, send it on Messenger. If you're able to send it on IG, send it on IG. I'll take a look at them, and then I'll reach out and let you know if I'm going to share it or not, so that way you know. But like I said, not everything is shared, just because sometimes it's just the footage won't take. People will just be like, and people can be pretty tough. So and then the only other thing that I would say is, if you're looking at the comments, be careful, because everybody has their own opinion, and it might not necessarily jive with yours, and some of it can be really hurtful. Don't take it to the heart. Just let it go. So that's my only I have some Bigfoot hair that was given to me. 3 or 4 Bigfoot were outside a woman's house and tried opening the door. That's from Brujo. There's a lot of stories like that. There's a lot of quick encounters like that. Believe it or not. Quite a few. But we are at time, guys. Thank you again for joining me. And send me your stories. Send me your videos. And I will gladly share it. Until next time. Have a good night.